What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Guitar Wishes and your Guitar Wish of the Day. My name's Lee, coming to you once again from incredible downtown Lincoln, North Carolina. You may think that that tone was coming from the B.B. King Gibson Custom Shop Lucille that we have highlighted previously a few weeks back in another episode of Guitar Wish of the Day, but actually it is not.
It would be this Epiphone B.B. King Lucille, which is right at the same level as the Gibson, I would say, being that I've played them both, and I'm very impressed. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there's so few differences in these guitars, a couple of which I'll point out. The binding on the Epiphone is 2-ply. This is 3-ply on the Gibson. Another difference in the two guitars are the truss rod covers. The Gibson versus the Epiphone. Of course, we talked about there being 2 screws on the Gibson and 3 screws on the Epiphone. Now, if you take these off, underneath any Gibson truss rod cover, you're going to find an acorn nut. All right, that's just the way they do it. An acorn nut will be under this truss rod cover. You take the truss rod cover off of the Epiphone, you're going to find a hex screw in there. And on the true Gibson B.B. King Lucille, the pick guard comes up and actually touches the binding here. It just kind of runs along with the binding versus the Epiphone, which it does not. It actually has about 3/4 of an inch difference between the pick guard and the binding at the bottom of the joint there. All right, another slight difference that we've noticed, actually it's not very slight, is the difference in size of the body and the headstock. Over 1/4 inch larger at the hips on the Gibson versus the Epiphone. Now, if you got them sitting in a room, it's so hard to tell the difference. It is there, but I guess you've got to save money somewhere. So you know, when you've got $4,000 more on one guitar versus the other, I guess you're trying to save. I guess wood's expensive. We'll have to ask Uncle Steve about that. But again, just a slight difference in body size, the Gibson over the Epiphone. Okay, and another difference is sometimes, actually most of the time, on a Gibson, you're going to have the binding come up over the fret. Again, the binding's going to come up the neck and go actually over the fret, while on Epiphones, the fret will actually go across the fretboard on top of the binding. Again, unless it's been manipulated or there were some limited Gibson runs where they chose to put the fret over the binding, but those are rare. And most of the time you're going to find that the binding will go over the fret. Now, with all of these differences, you have to ask yourself, while this is a beautiful and an incredibly built instrument, so is the Epiphone Lucille, and you have to ask yourself, when looking at these two guitars, is it worth a $4,000 difference? Also, the pickups. These are stock Epiphone pickups on the Epi, and these are Gibsons. This is a 490R and a 490T humbucker on the Gibson. Baritone switch is the same, which of course gives you so many different sonic options on there. Both have dual inputs. Now, they're not technically stereo inputs as you would think stereo in a car, stereo at your house. These are dual inputs. One goes to one pickup and one goes to the other. Therefore, you can run one to one amplifier dry. You can run one to another amp that is got some effects on it. So, of course, the only other major difference is the fretboard on the Gibson is ebony, and this one is rosewood.
Which I can't complain about rosewood. I like rosewood.
Yeah, so. Yeah. There are actually a lot of people that prefer that.
Yeah.
So both of them sound great. But this one is the one we wanted to highlight today. Play a little bit more on this, and highlight the Baritone switch a little bit. love that last position. It's really got a spank to it that I really like. And I remember noticing that when we did the video with the BB King, the Gibson version had that spank at the end of it.
I hate to say it, but I almost think the Baritone on the Epiphone is more useful than the Gibson. Because it gets almost too thin on the Gibson, which is great for baby stuff and doing stuff like that. But if you want to make it versatile, play other stuff, this guy's the guy for you. And actually, I like the sound better. But that's subjective. That's just me.
Yeah, everybody's got their own opinion. But again, we just wanted to bring it to you today and show it to you. By the way, this is
HAYDEN, which is me.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to get that out of there.
Yep.
So, but we're open. People are walking around and doing their thing. I just wanted to show you this in comparison with this. And two incredible guitars, but this one is a little more affordable, but no less amazing to play and amazingly built. And speaking of Epiphones versus Gibsons, I want to draw your attention to something that not a lot of people discuss, and that is you need to be careful if you're looking at a Gibson to make sure that it's not been manipulated in some way to make you think that it's a Gibson. That happens so much in today's world, but there are a few telltale signs when someone's taken an Epiphone or a Chinese-made Gibson and tried to make it into an authentic Gibson. There's a couple of telltale signs I'd like to point out to you. First off, the neck. And the neck will lead up to the headstock where it's actually tapered just a little bit more than an actual Gibson, where they've actually tried to sand down and make it look more like a Gibson headstock. Secondly, the bridge pins. You will always find a slot, like for a straight screwdriver, a slot at the end of those bridge pins. Now, a Gibson does not have a slot. Okay, so a Gibson does not have a slot at the bridge pin, the head of the bridge pin. Epiphones do, and any of the fakes that you'll see, they do as well. That's a telltale sign. Third, the serial number on the back on a fake is really, really stamped in there. It's a really hard, almost like an etching in there. On an authentic Gibson, it's gently pressed in. You can tell the difference. It's gently pressed into the paint. Sometimes it's even hard to see, but it's gently pressed into the back of the headstock. Now the saddle screws come in from the rear or the tailpiece side on any Gibson. Now most of the time that's the case. Again, unless it's been manipulated somehow, most of the time the saddle screws will come in from the rear or the tailpiece side on a Gibson, versus on an Epiphone, they will always come in from the neck side or the pickup side. Again, we're talking about the saddle screws. If you have any questions about anything that you've got, anything you found, something you're looking at buying or selling, let us know here at Guitar Wishes and we'll be happy to help you determine if it's an authentic Gibson or if it's a knockoff. So if you want to know more about this or this Supro reverb amp that we're playing through, thing sounds great also. If you want to know more about any of that stuff, please let us know at guitarwishes.com. Check out our Facebook site and, of course, our YouTube channel. We just hit 200 subscribers. Yay! Woo! Woo! And the door dinger's on. So you're hearing that sound? That's what that song's about. But anyway, again, thank you so much. 200 subscribers. Thank you so much out there in YouTube land. And
Smash that like button!
Don't scare me like that every time. Smash the like button if you've not done that, so you're notified of new content uploaded daily, and also like and subscribe if you haven't done so to this video. For Hayden
and for Lee,
we'll talk to you soon.